Hey everybody, this is Darwin Reina, the Festival Director of Hospitalet Barcelona International Film Festival. Today we have a great filmmaker from the Netherlands. Actually, he made this beautiful work back in the US. We have in our festival, the film is Mist, and it's a beautiful work. I just tell him a few minutes ago that I feel depressed because this film is so good. That is, I mean, I have so many questions for you. How are you, Fokke?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Very good. We're happy to have you. We are so proud to have your film in our festival. First of all, the story, how the story coming along, because you didn't write it, right? It was somebody else, right? Tell me a little bit about that process of getting that story and for you to direct it.
Yeah, you're right. It was written by Keith Armonaitis, who is my writing partner ever since we did Mist together. We did a second movie after it called Swung, and we're now developing a bunch of other stuff. But the idea originated with me, and because back in 2016, my mother died very suddenly. And I knew I had to do something with what was happening with my emotions, but I didn't want it to be about me, and I didn't want it to be about my mother. I didn't want to go the biography way. So I sat together with Keith and I said, look, I got to do something with the fact that I lost my mother, and I lost her very suddenly. And on top of that, even though I loved my mother to death and she loved me, our last conversation was a bit of a conflict. So I didn't really get a chance to make up for that. And I didn't even get a chance to say, I love you. She was just gone, just like that. And, to suddenly have to live without someone who's so close to you, and she literally got ripped out of my life without having the chance to say what I wanted to say, that was something that I felt that story wasn't told very often. A lot of films deal with death, but they with an approaching death, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So you get a chance to sort of come to terms with everybody, and I wanted to also share a story that if you love the people close to you, tell them every day, because you don't know when they're going to be gone. So that was sort of the starting point. And then because I didn't want it to be about me or my mother, me and Keith, we for a story that was a bit more universal. And at that point, there was a lot of conflict going on in the US between Democrats and Republicans. I saw this on my Facebook timeline every day, rants and people blaming each other for things. People who were normally just friends, but because they had a political different point of view, they suddenly became enemies. And I was like, okay, what if I put two people in a room together who have, cultural or political differences, but are very much related to each other? How is that going to affect their relationship moving on? And that sort of became the starting point for Mist.
Right. Wow, man. Sorry to hear about that. That's what at the end of your film it says for mom. Now I got it.
It's a tribute to my mother.
Yeah, stuff.
And thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Fokke, tell me, how long was the process of writing the script? How many drafts? Do you remember how you were sharing those ideas with your writer? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, Keith in the Netherlands, and I was actually prepping a documentary that I was going to shoot in LA, and I knew this was going to happen in the late summer. So we started sharing ideas 2 to 3 months before that, and I think it took maybe 3 to 4 drafts until we had our final shooting script. So that was pretty much a pretty long where we got to tweak and build characters really. But then the exact location where it was going to take place, that was really a last minute thing. I wanted a diner, but I didn't know we were going to get one because we were working on a shoestring budget. We were not able to afford any location. It wasn't until I was in the LA area shooting my documentary that I had some time to go around scouting locations, and immediately saw this location. I knew this was going to be it, and everything sort of came together after I found the location. And I think it only took about 2 weeks until we were shooting.
Nice, nice. Let's talk about production, because I gotta tell you, Fokke, your film is so damn cinematic. You know, we have a lot of films in our festival, 275, but your film is one of the most cinematic films that we have, to be honest to you. This guy Carlos, you know, the director of your photography,
Thank you.
how you guys pull off this quality? Do you how was yeah? Let's get back to pre-production. I guess you did a lot of pre-production, right?
Mhm.
A lot of you prepare your film very well in the pre, right? How
Yes.
was that process? Yeah, you
Yes. Yeah.
storyboards. Tell us a little bit about the pre-production process.
Mhm. Yeah, we didn't really do storyboards, but we
Mhm.
did come up with a shot list. But I didn't want to stick to a storyboard too much.
Mhm.
I like always to improvise. And this
Right.
movie, we had to improvise a lot because, like I said, you know, we got the location pretty much last minute. So
Mhm.
I made a mood board. I always do a mood board where I
Mhm.
make images, collect images from other movies and
Mm.
magazines that inspire me in a way, or sometimes it's just a piece of art. And I share that with my director of photography. In this case, it was Carlos,
Yeah.
who I had also met just prior to production,
Wow.
and he was
Wow.
great. I mean, when we met in Los Angeles, we immediately clicked, and I shared him the story. He got to think about it. We went to the restaurant where we were going to shoot it, I think just once prior to shooting,
Mhm.
and it immediately came together, everything there. So, you know, we were walking around the premises, sat down in the booths where scenes were going to take place, and immediately we started writing shots. Not so much drawing them, but really
Mhm.
writing out and writing sort of the atmosphere that the shot had to have. And that's when everything sort of fell into place moving forward from there. And it's really thanks to Carlos, his cinematic eye, his sense for lighting.
Absolutely.
He's a gaffer. Originally, he's a gaffer, and he transitioned into cinematography later. So he always, whatever shot he composes, he always his starting point is lighting. And to
Mhm.
me, cinema is lighting. So
Mhm.
it's just a great combination. And Carlos did a tremendous job.
Right. Yeah,
Oh, are
yeah,
you
it's
still
very
there?
impressed. Yeah, yeah, I'm still here. I'm having some
Okay.
problem with the internet.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty much very cinematic. Which camera you guys use? I'm very because the image is so crispy. Jesus.
Yeah, we shot on the Red Epic,
Oh,
and
yeah.
yeah, it was
Wow.
shot on the Red Epic. Yeah,
Wow.
and that's what we have to go for. Really, the cinematic look. It fell into place. And then, of course, we had a tremendous color grader who
Yeah.
forced 100% quality out of the image as well. I want the film to
Right.
look a bit like an 80s film noir.
Mm-hmm.
My inspiration was a 1980 Hitcher starring Rutger
Mm-hmm.
Hauer, and this was shot in the California desert as well. And it just had
Mm-hmm.
this summer breeding temperature, warm temperature like atmosphere,
Mm-hmm.
where I wanted every frame to look like you could bake an egg on the top of your car, so to speak.
Right.
You had to see the heat coming off the street,
Right.
and it
Wow.
really had to have a desolate feel, and that was a perfect place to shoot. And of course, thanks to our amazing color grading team, it really came to
Mm-hmm.
life, every image.
Yeah, we're gonna go there to talk about that. So, how many days was the shooting? The production in. Tell me a little bit about that. What was the most challenging thing during that production?
Well, we shot for 2 days, and basically just 2 half days. And the challenging part was that the diner where the entire film takes place, this was a working diner. So, and they didn't close up shop
Oh,
for us, so we had to
wow.
work around them. The good thing was that was a breakfast and a lunch place only. So at 2 p.m., they closed for the day. That meant that
Oh,
after 2 p.m., we could go in, shoot our scenes, and then
wow.
be there until the rest of the day. However, the challenge was because we could only start at 2 p.m., and this was in the middle of the desert, we were starting to
Mhm.
lose sunlight close to 5 or 6 p.m. So we
My
only had
God.
like 4 hours of shooting every day. That that was our window of opportunity. So we had to really bang them out very, very fast.
Right.
And that was a big challenge.
Wow, wow, crazy, crazy what you just telling me. Fokke, tell me, those guys are great. Those actors you have there, Sean and Giuseppe.
Hmm.
Well, it happens that I know them, from back in the days from New
Yeah,
York. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
that's a coincidence.
yeah. How do you direct the actors? Because it's got very deep
Yeah,
feelings in this film. How
yeah.
is that process?
Well, it's very interesting. I only knew Giuseppe a few years at that point already. He's a good friend of mine, and I
Mm,
always wanted to work with him. I feel that he has this sense of juvenile charisma that I see. I also saw with a young Robert De Niro. That's how he feels to me. Um, and I sat down with Giuseppe first, and I knew that prior to shooting our film, which deals a lot with the coming death, so to speak, and losing someone close to you, and prior to shooting, I knew that Giuseppe lost his father in
mm,
real life. So I talked a
gotcha.
lot about this with Giuseppe and how he felt about this sudden death in his life, and I discussed my point of view. So we really clicked on a deeper level there. And Giuseppe told me that he wanted to take the experience he had in losing his father into this character. So when he would get emotional in a certain scene, and he wanted to take a moment for himself just before we started rolling camera, and listen to a voicemail that his father left him just before he died.
Hmm.
And then
Wow.
after he listened to it, he threw away his phone and his earphones, and he said, "Okay, I'm ready to do the scene."
Hmm.
So that's how deep he went. He really took in all this personal emotion and put in the character, which I felt was great. And I wanted to really give him the opportunity to go there, and take out the best in it. And at the
Hmm.
same time, I had to also how do I say this? I had to protect him from going too deep,
Hmm.
because
Right.
Giuseppe, he's like Doberman. When he holds on to something, won't let go. So, and I also have to protect him and protect any of my actors from going too far and losing yourself process, because after all, it's just a movie that we're doing. So
Yeah.
that was one end. And then Sean, on the other end, who
Yeah.
plays the father, he has a different way of approach
Hmm.
completely. He was not so much about going method, and really taking his own experience, but he really wanted to turn himself into the father. And I thought the way Sean approached this character was just great.
Yeah.
This is only short film, and it's only a 2-day shoot.
Hmm.
But 14 days before we started shooting, he already had a beard, where he never has a beard, but he wanted to
Hmm.
grow a beard for the character. And he plays a Trump supporter,
Yeah.
and he also had this "Make America Great Again" hat
Yeah.
that his character has. So 2 weeks, excuse me, 2 weeks before shooting, he said, "Do you already have the hat?" And I said, "Yeah, we have it." And he said, "Okay, can I have it so I can grow into the character a bit?" I said,
Hmm.
"Sure, of course." And then for 2 weeks straight, he would
Awesome.
not take off that hat. Wherever we went, if we went out for lunch or to shopping to get clothing for his character, he always wore that hat. And I was a little bit embarrassed at times, because this was in LA, which is not a
Hmm.
very pro-Trump
Right.
area. So people would be like calling him names and stuff, and he didn't care, and he would just go on, and that's devotion right there.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. That's the type of devotion that I hardly see here in the Netherlands, where I'm based, working with
Mhm.
actors. It's a completely different thing.
Wow, yeah. I mean, I gotta tell you, folk, I really believe the relationship between them, like father and son in a conflict, you know. They did pretty good, yes.
Mm.
This at the end when this guy going in the car, you know, and it's you know, I was I knew it was something going on with him, you know, with Giuseppe. But I mean, the twist that
Hmm.
you guys did is beautiful. Good twist there. Yeah, at the end, it's a beautiful twist. Absolutely. Let's go
Thank you.
to no problem. Let's go to post production. How long was the process of editing the film? Who edited for you, and how do you work with the editor? Tell us a little bit about the process
Uh,
of it.
yeah. Well, I shot the film in the US, and then I took it home with me to the Netherlands, where I found a great post-production partner in a production company based here called Studio Matt. And, they provided an editor and a sound designer and
Yeah, sound is good.
a poster designer to give me a package deal. And I had done a movie with them before, so it was great working with them. And our editor was Suzanne Nijkamp. She's Dutch as well, and it was great to have a woman's touch looking at the film like that. It was a longer process because I'm very minimalist editing. I edit on the frame sometimes, and that took a little going back and forth. But that's I think the most wonderful process almost in filmmaking, where everything comes together. And I really want to take my time, especially for a short film like this that really didn't have a strict deadline. I took my time, and I think how long were we editing? I think maybe even 2 months. Not daily, of course, but we would edit for a day or two and just let it sink in. We would watch the film again, and then after a week we would go back into editing. That's the way for me that these films really get their soul when you take time for it.
Yeah, definitely. How much you changed the script to the editing? You maintain everything like the same scenes, or you flip something? I don't think so, right? Or you did?
Good
Because it looks like
question.
very straight, right? Or it was just
Yeah,
exactly how was the script?
it was pretty straightforward. You're right.
Yeah.
I think we only cut out a few lines, but structure-wise, I think it was pretty much set in stone. Yeah.
Right.
Unlike my next movie, where we completely threw out the opening scene, for instance, that was much more playing around. But this was pretty much set in stone from the script to film. Yeah.
Nice. What about the? I mean, the sound is also pretty good. Man. Good job there. It's beautiful, crispy sound. It's just clean. How was that process in post production? Do you guys allow the sound mixer, or you let him do his job? How was that?
At first, I always like when I sit down with my post production team, whether it's the editor or the color grader or the sound designer. I always wait and see what they come with. And that's how also I approached it with sound designer. First, I let him play around footage for a few days, and then I sort of guide him to a way where I want him to take it. The only thing that I was very strict about is that I wanted to have the whole film have a desolate feel to it, and also a desolate sound. So no background noises that don't belong there. We only have like an eagle in the background, showing the grand scope of the arena in which the film takes place. So it was very much a minimalist approach to the sound design and the score as well, which is very low on synth, very atmospheric, nothing too present, so to speak.
Right. Let's go to the colorings. Yeah, the color grading is also very beautiful. I guess you shoot this in vlog, right? In raw, probably, right? And then you pass it to. How do you guys record in raw, right?
Yeah, I don't know
or
what the
not?
raw output of the red is, but we shot
Hmm.
in one of those log settings that you can play
Right.
around with in post
Hmm.
tremendously.
Yeah.
But forgive me if I don't know the exact specs of
No,
the
no, no
Red Epic
worries.
raw output. But yeah, we had a lot to play around with in post, thanks to the output. Yeah, and
Right.
that's what
So
also made it possible for us to create this yellow summer
yeah.
burnt out look
Uh-huh.
almost. Because at first we were much more in I know our first color palette was much more pastel, but it was way
Hmm.
too bright and it felt um, too light for the film. So then we flipped around the entire color scheme and we went for the dark yellows and the true blacks, which really enhanced sort of the emotional sub-layer.
Hmm. Do you do you show to the color? You show some reference picture of what you wanted, or you let him also work with when you just mentioned to him? How was that process with the colors?
Um, yeah, I basically only showed my mood board, but that's the mood board for the entire film, and it
Hmm.
also had some black
Gotcha.
and white images, for instance, which I knew we weren't going to go there. But I think the whole mood board itself gave him, the right tone of voice. Um,
Hmm.
and again, yeah, like I said, the first cut was too bright, too much into the pastel way. And that was because I let him really go and take his own route. And then for the next version, I said, okay, it looks a little too comical, too lightheaded. And then we only had to tweak a few things here and there. And then immediately he was spot on, and we went through the entire process pretty much without any hiccups.
Right, nice. I forgot to ask you, Fokke, tell me, how do you decide the final cut for Mist? Do you show it to people, or it was something very personal for you, I guess, because it's very personal? How was that process to say this is ready? How do you decide that?
Yeah. Well, I always, when I have a new film, I always have a few people in my inner circle that I
Mm,
trust to watch the film. And these
mhm,
are not just filmmakers, some of them are, uh,
mhm,
to really help me, are the beats okay? And, does the narrative work and stuff like that. But I also have a few people in my network, some friends and family, who don't know anything about filmmaking, but
mhm, yeah,
they are your audience, so
audience.
they can tell whether it's good or not. They just don't know
Mhm,
how to express what's good and what's not good. But they're a very important voice to listen to. So I always have that inner circle of people that I show it to, maybe 60 people,
mhm,
and I take their feedback very serious. And it
mhm,
takes usually a few rounds of editing before I can say, okay, this is it. This feels like something that I believe in, and I believe my audience uh, enjoys it as well.
right.
And especially because this was such a personal film to me, this took, I think, the longest of any film that I've done
Mhm,
before I was absolutely satisfied about every aspect of the film.
right. Beautiful. Buddy, tell me something. You are a great filmmaker. I mean, it's obvious. We can see it there. What is the hardest part in filmmaking that you think, the three phases that we have, the production and post production? Everything is very important and we have to be focused on every one. But which one is the one that you think is where we have to put all energy? What do you think
Hmm.
of the
Uh,
three ones?
I think I think the hardest phase of any film production for me
Mhm.
is pre-production, and then in particular the budget part of pre-production. Finding the money, that's difficult.
Yeah.
um, because once you have the budget, you can go on and you can make your magic. I mean, having an idea is never hard because I have a ton of ideas,
Uh-huh.
and then developing them into a script and shooting and editing, that's pretty much a done deal. If you have people around you that can help you, you can get any film made. It's just,
Mhm.
getting the money and getting the time and the energy to do it.
Right.
That's the most difficult. and then again, believing in yourself and believing in yourself to keep making movies, because we're in a business that, especially in independent film, there's not a lot of money in there. And so it's very easy to say, okay, I have to do something that actually generates in money, and I can pay my mortgage or my rent. So it's very tempting to go for the easy way. But sticking to your beliefs and sticking to your feeling and that inner drive, got to make movies. I think that's the hardest part. If you can overcome that obstacle, you can make any movie in the world and get everybody involved just like that.
Right. But I forgot to ask you something in production, which is interesting. How do you work with the cinematographer? Do you explain what you want to him and then you let him do his magic, or you are like telling him, let's do this? How is the approach with you with the cinematographer? Tell me.
Well, at first, with Carlos, we sat down a few meetings where we grab dinner, and over dinner we just analyze the script, and we sort of write out the shot list already, and we video the scene. So I remember once we actually met in a diner where we shot at, but just any diner, and we would just position ourselves where the camera would be or where our actors would be, and then ideas flow easily. And then we write them out. So we don't go in shooting without being fully prepared of what shots we want and how to angle them. However, on any case, it's always good to have an idea, but maybe in 25% of the situations, you always have to throw them overboard and come up with something new because of the situation that's been given to you. So we're very much open to improvisation as well, and saying, okay, this doesn't work. Let's try something else. Even on a strict shooting schedule that we had on Mist, we had a few instances where we could just play around and see how things worked, and that's a very fruitful process, which I really enjoy working with Carlos on. Yeah.
Right. Oh man. I mean, anyways, I told you already before, it's great, it's beautiful work, no doubt.
Thank you.
Okay, one more question. Are you coming to Barcelona? What do you think?
Well, yeah, if our governments allow us to travel internationally again, I will definitely be there. Yeah, I love Spain. I reside in Malaga quite often, actually, for my work.
Okay.
I've been to Barcelona a few times. I love the city. So yeah, like I said, if our governments allow it, I will be the first one to book my ticket and get a hotel and spend the entire festival there enjoying the films.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna try to drag Sean and Giuseppe. Let's see if those guys wanna come over to, because Giuseppe or Sean is nominated, right, for I think for best supporting actor,
Sean
right?
And James.
And James,
Sean is for best supporting actor, and James for best actor. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They are good. Yeah, I didn't, because there are so many nominations that I just forgot about it. But yeah, they did a good job. The jurors, absolutely. Those two guys deserve, without doubt, both nominations, no doubt. And you too, as a best director. So, Fokke, you must come, man. You must come.
Thank you so much. I'll be there. Yeah. I try to bring over Keith, our writer, and Sean and James as well. And yeah, we can all hook up and enjoy some good movies there.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much for all the nominations.
No, it's very well deserved. I think they are all very well deserved, definitely. Fokke, congratulations, man, with your film. You've been having a lot of success. It's obvious. It's well done. Sorry about what you just tell us, but I felt that, man. So you did a great job. I felt that. I'm in some kind of situation now with my family, which this movie made me feel that I have to do the right thing right away. Good job, man, for that.
Thank you. And that's I think something to take something from the movie and implement it into your own life. That's why we make this movie. And yeah, so that's I think that's the best compliment that the film could get, other than any award. If we can achieve that, a change in thinking in perspective to your own relatives, that's a good achievement.
Yeah, buddy, you did it. Absolutely. Hey, Fokke, thank you very much for your time. And I'll see you in Barcelona.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes, absolutely. See you soon. Hasta luego.
Adiós.